Hello everyone, my name is Nils Boberg and my final chemistry in our community presentation will be focused on Boeing, Rocketdyne, and the hidden effects of the space race, specifying the effects and distribution of 1,1,1-trichloroethane. Firstly, I want to talk about what trichloroethane or TCE is and why and where it is in our community. So 1,1,1-trichloroethane is an industrial solvent among other things, and was originally produced from vinyl chloride in the 1840s by chemist Henry Victor Regnault. More details on that and subsequent processes later. TCE was used at the Rockwell Corporation plant in Canoga Park, California, but also at many different automobile and space engineering factories in our surrounding areas, including Simi Valley, Newbury Park, and as far as San Bernardino. Levels of TCE at the Canoga Park plant were at one point as high as 57,000 parts per billion. Okay, so now more details on the production of 1,1,1-trichloroethane. The original and most common way which TCE was produced was through an initial reaction of vinyl chloride with hydrogen chloride at roughly room temperature, which creates the single product dichloroethane. Dichloroethane is catalyzed with Lewis acids, usually aluminum chloride, and then converted into its final form with chlorine gas under ultraviolet radiation. It should be noted that TCE can be produced in a variety of ways, like many other volatile organic compounds, and like some other VOCs, it has been banned from production under the Montreal Protocol. However, TCE has had a lasting impact. TCE and other pollutants were a common sight at Rocketdyne facilities and other industrial plants. This was recognized in full by 1985, 2 years prior to TCE's ban by the Montreal Protocol. Rocketdyne's own environmental control specialists called the contamination a significant problem, though it was estimated that groundwater contamination had yet to occur. Due to the high concentrations of TCE and other VOCs in the soil, it was only a matter of time before there was potentially irreversible damage. We see this at play at another plant in Newbury Park around the same time period, where due to high concentrations of chemicals, nearby springs were showing signs of contamination, thus proving groundwater contamination. As shown on screen, this inhibited and has subsequently inhibited land usage in these contaminated areas. Pictured is the former site of the Rockwell plant in Canoga Park, still mostly undeveloped, even with huge funding for cleanup. Now I'm going to shed some insight into the intricacies of TCE contamination. Because of TCE's corrosive nature, it is not readily absorbed into sandy or clay soils, making subsequent groundwater contamination an inevitability. TCE is able to leach into groundwater aquifers when allowed to spread from point sources, contaminating drinking water. It continues to be a nuisance in the atmosphere with the presence of a low photooxidation rate. This allows high concentrations of TCE in the atmosphere to pose a significant health risk for long periods of time, which is one of the reasons cleanup can tend to run expensive and inhibit contaminated land usage to any extent. After being present in the environment through one of the means previously mentioned, TCE then can enter the human body and potentially cause harm. So how does it enter the body? Through contaminated water, TCE most commonly comes into contact with people through acts like showering and hand washing, and occasionally through drinking water contamination. Appliances like washing machines can also cycle contaminated water, subsequently contaminating material which is then used. In extreme cases, TCE's ability to hang in the atmosphere can cause damage through inhalation near point sources of pollution. So how does 1,1,1-trichloroethane affect the body? Well, once present in the body, TCE can cause harm in a number of ways. Depending on the method of exposure and concentration in the body, TCE can act as an irritant, a carcinogenic agent, a general solvent, or any mix of potential symptoms. Direct exposure to concentrations of TCE breaks down oils on your skin and causes irritation and blisters. Presence of TCE has been shown to significantly impact rates of cancer of the central nervous system, and additionally, inhaling TCE can be deadly. Your body metabolizes TCE into trichloroacetic acid, a process which is detailed on screen. After metabolizing the chemical into trichloroethanol, trichloroacetic acid is formed as a glucuronide conjugate, which is essentially a function of the metabolization process in the body. This strong acid causes damage in the body as it decomposes and can break down essential lipids of the body, including in the brain, causing a significant damage. As mentioned before, TCE is one of the many substances which is banned from use and production through the Montreal Protocol. However, it should be clear through my presentation that its window of use has now caused a significant problem for our communities. In the wake of the Montreal Protocol, current solvents and volatile organic compounds in use are heavily monitored and disposed of carefully, so as to avoid subsequent oil or atmospheric contamination. Although cleanup of industrial solvents from the likes of Boeing and Rocketdyne has posed a significant problem, most of their previous plant sites are free from heavy soil contamination. This is one of the many lessons our generation has been forced to learn the hard way, and that is why I want to transition to the future for the last focus of my presentation. The impact of TCE has taught us a lot about the use of heavy solvents and corrosive compounds. The good news is that many governments and government-adjacent entities have learned their lesson through scolding by the EPA and cutbacks on their projects. They tend to provide data on current and previous testing facilities, so it's important to keep track of potential contamination or previous dangers. All in all, it's essential to invest towards the future, keeping track of chemical dangers and staying on top of updates from the EPA. Many thanks for watching, and apologies for the potentially uninteresting subject matter. I sincerely hope that you learned something from my presentation, and may our collective wariness fuel a safer future. These are the references for my presentation, and I'm not sure if the discussion board will allow for questions, but if you feel the need to, please leave a question and I will find the best way to answer you. Thanks so much for watching.